Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. I'm your host, Keith Whiteside, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Thank you so much for joining us, however you may be joining us. We appreciate it. And always glad to have with me my friend and colleague, Mr. Earl Eues, Director of Terrebonne Parish Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness. All things with the parish. Earl, thanks for being here, man.
It's good to be here, Keith.
We appreciate it. You know, it's one of those times where we're just kind of limping out of our first month, and we're very thankful that we haven't had any storms, but we're kind of seeing where COVID kind of meets hurricane season. Let's talk a little bit about where we are with hurricane season in preparation.
So as far as hurricane season goes, we've been meeting with a lot of state agencies and local agencies, making sure that we are prepared and ready to respond if we have to this hurricane season. Just yesterday, we had a large meeting with the Governor's Office of Homeland Security Emergency Preparedness, talking about our point-to-point to Monroe and tidying up issues that had come about last year when we had to use that facility in Monroe, the Civic Center.
Yeah.
And so, that was the first time we did a point-to-point where we had to leave the parish and transport people outside the parish. But overall, everything went well. It's just there's some ways that you can improve things that took place, and that's what we're doing. We're trying to make sure that we're prepared for this year.
Yeah, and I know that there's even actually some legislation that got passed and some bills that got passed looking at our process and looking at from a governmental standpoint, making sure that there's places that are appropriate where people go, places that are going to be maintaining the safety and the health of people when we transport out.
Yeah, and GOSEPS has always been involved with that, and the legislators just trying to improve things, also make sure that things are in place to streamline our response and the state's response. And a lot of people don't know this, or they may know this, is they had a lot of nursing home legislation this year also,
right?
Protecting our residents that are in nursing homes and making sure that those industries understand the importance of having safe, sound, and secure sheltering and transportation for those nursing home residents.
Yeah, safe, sound, and secure sheltering. Okay. That's alliteration at its best, which is really good. And so we are in that point. We talk about people in their trailers and the fact that there's some probably 10,000 plus people in the parish living in trailers, and that's not counting those in private trailers and insurance trailers. And so just making sure that we're watching out for those people. It's just a concern. Make sure people are listening in this hurricane season.
Yeah, it's important that if you're in a temporary housing, such as a travel trailer or a FEMA modular home unit, we're looking at MHU, that they pay attention closely to local news and local social media and our website for the Office of Homeland Security Emergency Preparedness and our social media, because it's going to be very important for those people living in those travel trailers and modular home units to evacuate even for a tropical storm. We're encouraging everyone to please find a family member or a friend that you can go stay with. And it's usually on these smaller storms like a tropical storm or a Category 1. You're looking at maybe 24 to 36 hours that you may have to stay. Because as soon as the winds die down below 30 miles an hour or below, we're gonna start releasing our shelters and asking people to go back to their trailers.
Right.
And then we have a plan for those that go back to their trailers, and if they're damaged, tree limb or some type of damage, and that they cannot stay in there, we have provisions made for a long-term sheltering if we have to.
If we need it. And that leads right into where we are in still dealing with COVID. Our percent rate is still around that 14.5%. I want to say.
Yesterday, it was 24%.
24%.
That's correct.
Wow. Well, let's talk about that number, what that means, and or how it relates to maybe people with severe illnesses.
Sure. So, last week we had about 489 cases of COVID positive tests. That's about 69 per day. Let's just say 70 per day, which increased our percent positivity to 24.1%. So even though we're seeing these elevated cases, we're not seeing the admissions into the hospital.
Okay.
Nor are we seeing that the admissions that are in the hospital going forward into ICU or under a
ventilator.
ventilator.
Okay.
So, talking to some physicians, it's almost like a respiratory illness.
Okay.
And, they're going to the doctor, getting treated for it, and going home. Now, we're still asking people to quarantine and isolate if you have tested positive, because the virus is easily spread amongst other people.
Right.
So if you've tested positive, then you need to stay home and do quarantine and isolation depending on your circumstance, because as you can see, the numbers are high. So you may not be going in the hospital, you may not be going in ICU, critical care, but you are still passing on an illness and getting sick.
Right.
So, we encourage everyone to please continue to take a test if you're not feeling if you're feeling sick,
Right.
and then if you come up positive, please stay home and isolate yourself for 5 to 14 days, depending on what your test results are.
And then again, like we talk about every time we talk about COVID, still those numbers are a little bit low because we still have those people that are testing at home, and those aren't necessarily being reported through the state or through the hospital system.
That is correct. We have a lot of people testing at home now, which I'm okay with. I mean,
Right. Yeah, it's good.
It's an easy opportunity to determine whether you're sick or not. You can do it at your own home. So, and we haven't had a death in Terrebonne since May. Which is very good.
Really good news.
And then, we still having some reinfections, and hospitalizations are averaging about 6 a week.
6 a week.
Yeah.
Okay. And that I think we can handle.
I think so.
Don't go anywhere. I've got a whole lot more information to talk about with you. And don't go anywhere yourself. We'll be right back after this short break here on Bayou Time.